The last video I made for this tech tree, I went over the tank destroyer line for this proposal, and it was met with some really good feedback and people enjoyed the Hungarian tech tree. So I'm back yet again with the medium tank line for this tech tree proposal. Now before I get into this video, I just want to say 87% of you guys watching this are not subscribed, so please feel free to subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and you can always unsubscribe if you don't enjoy my content later. Anyways, let's get right into the video. The tank that started the idea for the Strausler main battle tank, or well, the first tank in the line of tanks that would end up being the Strausler. From humble beginnings, this is the Strausler V-3 at tier 2. The Strausler V-3 is the tier 2 with 23mm on the front, 13mm on the side and 9mm of armour on the hull, and 23mm on the front, 13 on the side and 9mm on the rear on the turret. And the tank does a nice quick 45 km per hour, and the tank will have a choice of two guns, the 7.9mm and the 3.7cm Pak 36 L45. The Jabora has 33mm of penetration and does 8 damage on standard rounds. This leads me to believe that this tank is a autoloader, while the Pak 36 has 44mm of penetration and does 40 HP of damage on standard rounds, and I also think this is going to be an autoloader. Coming in at tier 3 is the Strausler V-4. This tank is a further modification of the V-3 at tier 2, a small little light tank for the tech tree, with 23mm on the front, 13 on the side and 9mm of armour on the rear of the hull, and 23mm on the front, 13 on the side and 19mm on the turret. This tank is a nicely armoured tank for tier 3. The tank has a top speed of 45 km per hour, keeping it the same as the tier 2, but that's nice enough for tier 3 as well. And the tank has a choice of two guns, the 3.7cm Pak 36, like the top gun on the V3, the 37M 40mm. The Pak 36 has the same stats as the tier 2, while the 37M has 58mm of penetration and does 45 HP of damage on standard rounds. Coming in at tier 4 is the start of the Turan tanks, which ends up at tier 6 with the Turan III. The 40M Turan I comes in at tier 4, and this tank has actually got some really good armour for its tier, with it being 50mm on the front, 25 and 25 on the sides and the rear of the hull, and 40mm on the front of the turret and 25 on the side and the rear of the turret as well. That's on the stock turret. Its top turret is 50, 35 and 25. The top speed of this tank is 45 km per hour. The tank has a choice of three guns, the 37M 40mm L46, the CCV 38 47mm and the 40M 40mm L50. The 37M is the same as on the tank before it, while the CC has 52mm of penetration and does 60 HP of damage on standard rounds. The 40M is a lot better penetration wise, but sacrifices damage with 75mm of penetration and 50 HP of damage on standard rounds. Coming in at tier 5 is the 41M Turan II, the follow-up to the tier 4. With stronger armour than its tier 4 brother, being 50mm on the front, 25 on the side and 25 on the rear of the hull, and 50, 35, 25 on its stock turret, and its upgrade being 60, 35, 25mm, and the top speed being 45 km per hour. The tank has a choice of two guns, the 40M 40mm L50, which is the same as the one on the tier 4, or the 41M 75mm L25, which does 90mm of penetration on standard rounds that do 110 HP of damage, making this a very nice gun for this tank. Tier 6 is the Turan III, and you may know what this tank is because it is in the game. It's in World of Tanks. The most popular tank, or the most known Hungarian tank in this proposal, the Turan III Prototype, with 80mm on the front, 30mm on the side and 25 on the rear of the hull, and 75, 35 and 55mm on its stock turret, compared to 80, 40, 60mm on the top turret. This tank is actually really well armoured for tier 6, as well as a decent top speed of 40 km per hour. This tank has a choice of three guns, the 41M L75 L25, the 43M 75mm L43, and the 7.5cm KWK 42L70. The 41M is on the tier 5, while the 43M has 113mm of penetration and does 110 HP of damage on standard rounds, compared to the 150mm of penetration and 135 HP of damage, which is on the 7.5cm KWK, which is the top gun on this tank, which means this tank also packs some firepower with its really good damage per minute. Coming right in at tier 7 and starting the TAS line, this is the 44M TAS Prototype. This tank is well armoured with 100mm on the front, 50 on the side and 30mm on the rear of the hull, and 100mm on the front, 60 on the rear and 50mm on the armour of the turret, making this really well armoured and really good for hull down positions or just face hugging your opponents. This tank also does 45 km/h, making it rather slow compared to the higher up tiers after this, and the tank has a choice of 3 guns: the 7.5cm KWK, which is on the tier 6, the 43M 75mm, which is also on the tier 6, a 29M 8cm Boffers L60 and a 29-38M Boffers L58. The 29M does 200 HP of damage with 160mm of penetration on standard rounds, while the 29-38 does 220 HP of damage with 180mm of penetration on standard rounds, making this a huge upgrade. Coming in at tier 8 is the 44M TAS, the actual upgrade for the tier 7, a well armoured all around medium tank which in my opinion will play like the Panzer 58 premium tank in the German tech tree. The tank has 120mm of armour on the front, 60 on the side and 40 on the rear for the hull, and 100mm on the front of the turret, 60 on the side and 75mm on the rear on its stock turret, compared to 120, 70 and 50mm on the upgraded turret. The tank gets a slight speed upgrade, bumping it up to 48 km/h compared to 45, and the tank has a choice of 3 guns. The first 2 are on the tier 7 and so the stats are the same, but the top gun, the 29-44M 8cm Boffers L70, has 215mm of penetration while doing 220 HP of damage on standard rounds, making it a decently punchy gun which will do okay for this tier. However, it must be kept in mind that this tech tree focuses on DPM rather than damage per shot, so it can fire 12.76 rounds a minute. Coming in at tier 9 is the last Hungarian proposed or last Hungarian indigenously made tank, as the T55 AMH at tier 10 is a Hungarian modified T55 which is a Soviet tank. Its hull armour is 135mm on the front, 70 on the side and 50 on the rear, while its stock turret is 120, 180mm all around, compared to the upgraded turret which is 150, 120 and 100mm thick, making it a lot thicker on the front and the sides, perfect for hull down gameplay. The tank has a top speed of 52 km/h, which makes it rather fast for a tier 9 medium tank. The tank has a choice of 2 guns, the 29-44 Boffers 8cm L70 and the 38M 10.5cm L70. The Boffers gun is the same as on the tier 8, so I don't need to cover its stats, while the 38M does 390 HP of damage with 240mm of penetration on standard rounds. Coming in at tier 10, the crown jewel of the Hungarian tech tree for now is the T55 AMH. This tier 10 Hungarian medium tank will play like the Soviet medium tanks, but rather than focusing on damage, it more focuses on damage per minute, so it's got a weaker damage per shot, but a very fast reload. The hull armour on this tank is 150mm on the front, 110 on the side and 45mm on the rear, while the turret armour is 270 on the front, 203 on the side and 85mm on the rear. The tank has a top speed of 50 km/h, which also makes it quite fast, but not as fast as the tier 9, and its main gun will be the 100mm 53.5 D10TS, which will have 250mm of penetration on standard rounds and do 320 HP of damage with them. With a fast 6-second reload, this tank can pump out 10 shots a minute, which is around around 3,200 damage per minute. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was probably my last Hungarian tech tree video, unless you want me to go over the wheeled light tank part of this tech tree, and if you do, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And as I said in the beginning, if you want to see other tech trees, let me know. Do you have a fan made one that you want showcasing on this channel? And if you want to see more Hungarian or more tech tree videos, there's a whole playlist in the description. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next one, which will be a funny moments video on Wreckfest. Peace.